here we are, another episode of Crests Colors. I am excited about this series that we've been doing, talking to supporters, podcasters, journalists from around USL League One, following the teams that Fort Wayne FC is seeing for the first time this season. My name is Brian Biedenbach, host of Fort Wayne Footy, and tonight we're talking with Shawn Fecteau. Did I say that correctly?
Yes, you did.
All right. Shawn Fecteau from the Friggin Soccer Show up there in Portland, Maine, following Portland Hearts of Pine. Glad to have you, Shawn, and Christina Copeland from right here in Fort Wayne, head of the Three Rivers Regiment supporters group of Fort Wayne FC. Christina, how are you tonight?
Quite decent. Quite decent.
That's an answer I don't hear often. There you go. So, all right. So by way of just introduction, Shawn, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so Shawn Fecteau, of course, as you mentioned, co-host of the Friggin Soccer Show, where we are basically a reiteration of what was called From the Forest to the Tide, which is a Dirigo Union podcast. And we got some opportunities to go ahead and partner up with the Knack Factory, of course, that does the docuseries Up the Hearts. And we got a chance to utilize his studio and kind of morph ourselves into more of an extension of the Dirigo Union and kind of get into a little bit more of the nooks and crannies of the soccer world. And we're really enjoying that time and the sponsors and the relationships that we have just begun to build. We look to continue to do more of that and dig into more and more veins of soccer through the hearts and the players and the backgrounds and the profiles and some of the sponsorship money that will come in and will help us do some of those things and some on location shoots that we've got kind of in the back of our mind, and certainly looking forward to do some of that stuff as the year rolls on. And of course, still a member of the Dirigo Union. We'll talk more about that here in just a little bit, but anything Hearts of Pine, you can come find it over on the Friggin Soccer Show.
Awesome. Love to hear it. I know we've gone back and forth a little bit. We've been watching your show, you've been watching ours, and just sharing some ideas on, supporters groups and potential TIFO making maybe in the future. So looking forward to that, maybe talking more about that later too. Christina, introduce yourself to those who don't yet know you. I know you've been on Fort Wayne Footy a couple of times now, but for those in Fort Wayne that are watching this, listening to this, that don't know you, and definitely those in Portland who may be watching this, tell us who you
are. Christina Copeland. I am the co-founder and president of Three Rivers Regiment, the official supporters group of Fort Wayne FC. We co-founded the group in 2019. COVID stole our first year. And then we've been with the team through all their years in League Two, and then now going into League One.
Yeah. And we obviously know each other a little bit better than we know Shawn. So we're going to talk with Shawn a little bit more tonight. But Shawn, if you got questions for us, questions for Christina, questions for me about the club, the team, the supporters, happy to answer and go both ways and just have this conversation a little bit. So tell us, just in general, I know Hearts of Pine started last year, so you're 1 year ahead of us in USL League One. But I know there's more history than that. It wasn't just a pop-up team in 2025. There's a little bit more to it, and there's definitely a little bit more to the Dirigo Union that you're a part of. Tell us a little bit of that history.
Yes, the history of the Dirigo Union, fun fact, the Dirigo Union is actually older than Portland Hearts of Pine. So the rumor mill was swirling that Portland, Maine was going to have a soccer team for USL League One somewhere in that 2019 timeframe. And we had three individuals that thought it'd be a great idea to start up a supporters group to support that club that's going to be rumored to be coming in that I think it originally about that 2023 timeframe, I think is when it was originally scheduled to go and actually kick a ball. So the Dirigo Union was stood up in 2019, probably officially drafted the papers and all that in 2020, but everything was all put together. The wheels were in motion in 2019, and that's kind of the date that is claimed for the Dirigo Union getting started. And That, of course, as Christina mentioned, plowing through what we all went and experienced through 2020 and the COVID times, and how that slowed a little bit of everything, including the Hearts of Pine and what they were trying to do and get things going. And just sticking to the DU history here for a minute, that continued to mature, and their Crest continued to mature as they found out more and more what the Hearts of Pine was going to be. And as that kind of continued to move forward, and we ran into some delays with the Hearts, making sure they're getting a lease for the stadium and the back and forth with the city, and that added on another couple of years. The original co-founders, some of them had to move through work purposes. And then we had another one that stayed with the Dirigo Union, but we had new co-chairs that kind of came up and took control of the Dirigo Union as we know it today, and formed themselves and reshaped their badge to what the Hearts were going to be. If you look at the Dirigo Union crest, it originally had the North Star at the top of it. And when we found out what the name of the team was going to be, it was going to be Hearts of Pine. And the Dirigo Star and the heart in the center of it, it made sense to put a heart at the top of the Dirigo Union crest. And so the North Star went away, the heart went up on top, and we got rolling supporting the Hearts.
Did you know? So you didn't know the name of the club yet was going to be Hearts of Pine when the Dirigo Union started?
Right. Back when so the Dirigo Union is older than the club, so they just basically had their own crest. They were going to have like the North Star, being a northern state. That was something that they could resonate with and put on their crest. And then when we found out they're going to be named the Hearts, and the Hearts of Pine, and the Dirigo Star with a heart in the middle of it, you'll see that on some of the merchandise that the Hearts of Pine sell. You'll see that Dirigo Star with a heart in the middle of it. And basically Dirigo Union's like, yeah, we need that on our crest. So they took the heart, they put it up on top of their crest.
Nice. One thing I have always wondered about is the name Hearts of Pine and the crest of Portland Hearts of Pine. Can you walk us through the meaning of that name and the look on the crest?
Yeah, so the Hearts of Pine. So basically, if you have a pine tree, the center core of that tree, the hardened, solid core, it's the heart of the tree. They call that a heart. So Hearts of Pine, of course, the state of Maine is littered with pine trees here in the state of Maine. So the Hearts of Pine, basically the spine or the backbone of a tree, the strength of the forest, right? So that's kind of where the Hearts of Pine came from. So that kind of explains the name itself. And then, of course, when you go into the crest, you'll see that, of course, you got the pine trees. Of course, you got the ocean here in the state of Maine. That's kind of where the name of the podcast that we originally started with, From the Forest to the Tide, that's kind of where that came from. That was also littered in some of our early chants for as a supporters group, From the Forest to the Tide. That was some of the lyrics that we had in a few chants. But also getting back to the Hearts of Pine crest, the scroll at the bottom of it, we of course have got some writers up here in the state of Maine that maybe they've heard of. Stephen King. That's a guy, that's a thing, right? So we've got him up here, and of course to go back into the history, we've got some more famous historian writers as well here that is in the state of Maine. And so that scroll is for that type of history here that we have in the state. And there's a few more pieces of that crest that has got some more detail to it, some Easter eggs, if you will. But that is pretty much the lion's share of the Hearts of Pine crest.
Interesting.
You sound like you have a lot of in-depth knowledge about the crest itself. I'm just curious, was the support, because you say the DU is older than the team. Did you guys have some input into the crest? Was this like a community input crest, or was this just something that you know a lot about?
No, that's a great question, and that kind of rolls into like a lot of the town halls that the Hearts of Pine had with the community. To when they say Hearts of Pine is a community built club, it's not just lip service. They did it in well, of course, we're gonna tell you we feel they did it the right way. But as I've talked to more and more people, they're all nodding their head in the same direction, going, "Yeah, they did it the right way." And actually, the Hearts have been called by many clubs upstarting, AC Boise being one of them, burning up the phone lines and saying, "How'd you do this? What'd you do? Give me your blueprint." Like, what about this? What about this? And the Hearts are like, "Yeah, we got you. What do you want to know?" And so they went around and they went to these town halls. Getting back to your question about the Crest, and they just asked real simple, basic questions to get things kicked off. Like, if you had to explain someone from Mars who Mainers are, their characteristics, what they live for, what they hold close, what they prioritize in life, like, what would you tell them? Right.
And
So
you were like pine trees.
So we're talking salt of the earth type of people over here. That, as you get closer to the ocean, you got people making a living out on the ocean year round. It's not a summer gig, right? They don't show up for 3 months out of the year and play around on the ocean and pack it in when the weather gets cold and call it a year, right? No, they're out there scalloping and lobstering and fishing, whether it be any different types of fish. Different markets. They're out there when it's sleeting and raining sideways, and you're probably on the border of probably not being out there. They're out there, and so that's the salt of the earth, the grit, the determination, strength. That is all something that you see in the Hearts play style, right? So that kind of rolled into what they wanted the people that have those jobs and wake up early in the morning, go out and do those things. The ones that, if it's raining or snowing, you're still going to work and you're still going to go do your thing. What type of team is that kind of person going to pay money to go see and sit there in the stands, or stand there in the stands, if you will, and be entertained? And that's kind of what rolled into the play style of the Hearts of Pine and what head coach Bobby Murphy likes to do and how he likes to run things. And it's that counterattack style that we want to go ahead and we want to win the ball in the midfield. We want to break it loose with a tackle, and that's the strength of the side. And then once you've broken the ball loose, you want to take it and pass it vertical and get on goal as quickly as you can. That attacking mentality. And that's a very entertaining type of soccer to watch. And it also speaks to the people that inhabit this state and what they live through year after year, day after day, and what they want to see on the field.
I love that. Just it reflects the community. I think that's really important. Not only the crest, but the play style and the type of players that are there. Like I love that the community aspect, the community feel of that. I think it means a lot more to the community when they know they've been a part of that. So that's awesome. And I think it also explains a lot to the extent of, you've been in the league 1 year, right, ahead of us. The union's been around a lot longer. The supporter group and all that has been around a lot longer. I understand that you've had time to build, but you guys came in and made waves last season. We just caught the tail end of it, just watching some of the Up the Hearts docuseries we've been watching. People talk about Portland and Portland Hearts of Pine and the Dirigo Union as something that's been there and established seemingly for a lot longer than you really have, at least officially in the league. And so I think knowing that history helps me and helps us understand that the established nature of what you guys have done already, because you've been part of it so tightly with the club. Now, I know you guys have done, there was a photo book release that you guys did in conjunction with the team, maybe the Up the Hearts docuseries that I know you guys didn't produce necessarily, but you were part of. Talk a little bit about your relationship with the club as it went, like once it was established, and how you've been working with them that way.
Yeah, so the established a relationship with the club real early, and again, it all ends up funneling back towards those town halls that we had, and watching the founder of Hearts of Pine, Gabe Hoffman Johnson, literally sitting there, pen out, book open, listening, and as people are talking, he's taking notes, and questions are being repeated back, clarifying questions so he understands a little bit more. You see him go back and continuing to write. And then you see the discussions that were had, of course not all of them, but the majority of the ones that were meaningful to most of the population in those meetings coming to life. And that continued to be a thread that you could see going forward as we moved into the early soccer matches up in Lewiston, Maine, and the Open Cup. And of course, you're going to see a lot of surveys after a match and wanting to know how was your experience, what was good, what was bad, what did you need, what did you not have, all of those sorts of things, which I believe is a staple of most USL clubs. But the thing that really paid off a lot was when people were writing in what they were missing and what there could have been more of, like porta potties, for example. The very first match, we're up in Lewiston High School, right? We're out at a high school field. We don't have main facilities out there for people, some 3,000 people, I think, for Lewiston. We needed some porta potties, right? You're gonna go out there and you're gonna sell some drink and you're gonna sell some food. Human beings are gonna be out there. You need a place for them to go relieve themselves, right? So, not enough of them was one of the things, right? And you get back into
might be the case here this Saturday, right? I don't know. We'll see.
Valuable feedback.
we win the game 4-0 against CD Filans, and it was just a great launching point for the Hearts and for the Dirigo Union, and pitchers galore, and went into penalties and everything that you could have possibly imagined rolled up into that kickoff game. But going into the surveys, people were saying, we could have used some more porta potties, and we could have used another. A lot of people have got different food allergies, and it really would have been nice if we had at least one gluten-free option there. And then we go and return to play Hartford, and there's a gluten-free option. There is multiple porta potties, and in different sections, not just lumped up in one area. There was also some other additional things that were added that may not have necessarily been asked for, and all of a sudden people are looking around and they're going, you can literally see people pointing and talking to people beside them, and people felt seen, and they felt heard, and that is just another layer of the foundation between the supporters group, the people that are coming in through the gates and paying their money to watch this club. And if people feel seen and if people feel heard, they feel a part of something, and they will support it. Doesn't matter if it's raining. It doesn't matter if it's snowing. It doesn't matter if they have chairs. They're coming in and they're going to support this. Why? Because they're a part of something. And that was the beginning of the relationship with the Hearts of Pine and the supporter groups and the Dirigo Union.
That's awesome. I couldn't agree more, honestly. It's like the most success you'll have is when you're listening to the people who are buying the product that you're trying to sell. So I mean, that's great to hear that you were able to give that feedback and that it was almost seemingly immediately addressed. That's huge. You've talked a lot about the community and those town halls and the input, and they're looking for, sorry, cat.
We like cats. That's okay. Bring them on in.
Cat loves to come on any video chat. So sorry. But you've talked a lot about community, the town halls, these input surveys, obviously genuinely always looking for feedback. But that's from the team and how they've been successful with the community engagement. I'm curious, you guys have, as a supporters group, have obviously had tremendous success. You guys are a really big supporters group for only being, less than a decade old, give or take. I'm curious, what do you think was the key or keys to being so successful as you've grown over this shorter amount of time as a supporters group?
Yeah, so make no mistake about it. Part of what I just talked about was also part of that success for the Dirigo Union. They are dovetailed together, linked, if you will. One cannot be successful without the other.
Mm-hmm.
And when both sides realize that, and both sides respect that in the decisions that they make, and they are talking with one another, that makes the whole thing work, right? But if we're just going to concentrate on the Dirigo Union side of things here for a minute, that lengthy lead up on the front end of things certainly helped, right? They could kind of flush things out, ideas that they thought might work didn't work, and they put in better ideas, and they continued to move forward and spread the word and start building the Dirigo Union. And I think when we started kicking off in 2025, I think in terms of numbers for the Dirigo Union paying supporters, I think it was a $25 fee to become a supporter for the Dirigo Union, still is today. They were hovering in the neighborhood of 300 or so supporter group members, I believe, when we first got things kicked off. Ended the year in 2025 with 1,058 members with the Dirigo Union.
Wow.
A lot of work goes into that, and I got to shout out the co-chairs, Mitchell Ketchum and Don Thibodeau, and he is both of those guys are real big reasons of why Dirigo Union in 2025, anyways, was a huge success. And of course, go back to the co-founders, Mario Moretto, which is down in DC now. He's got that DC link. Colin Durant, which is still part of the Dirigo Union and is part of the board. He's currently serving as secretary. You may see a big Dr. Seuss Hearts hat. That's Colin. And of course, John Morgan, the third co-founder, still part of the Dirigo Union, going and shouting from the stands. And just that meetings, the meetings going from month to month and sometimes week to week, and flushing out what that Dirigo Union board looks like, where you got people in charge of membership, you got people in charge of game day experience, you got people in charge of TIFOs, you got people in charge of community, establishing connections with community and different fundraisers and such, and people in charge of merch, getting Dirigo Union scarves going, and hats and all kinds of different merch that the supporters are coming back saying, hey, we would like to see some of this stuff. Can we maybe think about building some of this Dirigo Union merch that we need, like maybe rain jackets or things like that. And we would go in and start doing that type of stuff. And as the old adage goes, it takes a village, and it certainly does. It certainly does. No one person could do it. And Don and Mitchell will be the first to tell you that it's not just them. They may be pointing the different direction of where the Dirigo Union needs to go, but it's everybody in the board, everyone in the subcommittees, all the members that are putting in the hard work that keeps the Dirigo Union chugging along and screaming and hollering up there. And of course, you're going to talk to me about it. I'm going to tell you it's the loudest supporter section in USL.
I mean, with over 1,000 members,
it should be, right?
It should be. It should be pretty loud.
That's awesome. Does Christian, I don't know if you got another question or not, but I'm curious, does the Dirigo Union travel well? I know USL clubs are spread out kind of all over the place, and you guys are coming into town on a Wednesday night, so I don't imagine there's a lot of traveling going on midweek. But on a regular basis, on a Saturday evening game, do you guys travel?
Yeah, so typically we do travel pretty well. In terms of coming out to Fort Wayne, that is kind of away from some of our strengths.
Hmm.
So I'm not sure how many are going to be able to make it out there on the midweek. That's a tough ask.
Yeah.
Um, I would be surprised if you don't see any Hearts fans out there whatsoever. There's probably going to be a handful. But honestly, I'm not expecting a ton out there at Fort Wayne. We definitely have got some people that have got the ability to travel to almost all of the Hearts matches, and good for them. And there's a lot of people that are jealous of that, me included.
including myself.
Yeah.
So I think you will certainly see some, but it will not be to the numbers of when we went down and visited the New York Cosmos,
Sure.
and we had some 500 plus Heart supporters down there,
Did you
filling the
outnumber
corner
their
of the
home
stadium.
fans?
Yeah. I
Wondered.
I guess I'm gonna take that one back a little bit. The number that was announced, and of course we all know how the numbers go with the tickets sold, right?
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
But the number announced was somewhere in the low 4,000 range, I believe it was, or high 3,000 range.
Wow.
There wasn't that many people in the stadium. So I think we at least came close to equaling the rest of the
Okay.
stadium.
Uh-huh.
So
Okay.
I think that should probably tell you about all you need to know.
Yeah. The players got to love that, right? Going into
Yeah.
an away stadium and having half the support in their favor. That's got to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, there was actually
Uh,
a picture of at the end of the match. We won that one 3-1 against Cosmos. And they came down afterwards, and of course, the clap, and we were chanting back and forth with them. And we had some photography that was there, and they had the team line up, put their backs to us, and they got in, and they posed for a picture, and you could see a sea of
That's awesome.
Hearts of Pine supporters behind them. They took a picture, and I believe if you went to Hearts of Pine or check your socials, I think you will find it somewhere. And
Yeah.
that is a picture of us
How far
down
of a
that opening day.
how far of a trip is that for you guys down to Patterson, New Jersey?
I think it's probably about on average. I think it's probably about a 7-hour drive one way.
Oh wow. Okay.
Wow.
That's about our trip
Ta-
to Madison.
Takes a little
Maybe a
doing.
little bit less than 7, but that's our closest USL club to Fort Wayne. So
on a
which
Wednesday, though.
on a Wednesday though, right?
Yeah,
And
that's anything midweek. That's tough.
it's going to be a challenge. Which
Yeah.
That's tough.
I heard there's a contingent from Madison coming down because they're big Burn Shipman fans coming down for this opening match here in Fort Wayne.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Somebody
I mean,
messaged me.
I wouldn't be surprised, but
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, pretty cool. So, Christina, do you have any other questions? And we had talked at one point. I know you had a few.
I only had one other one.
Yeah.
So I was curious. One thing that, like, for us, we do a tradition that we started is what's called like the signature banner. So any goal scored or a clean sheet, you get to sign. We make a custom, like, banner every year, different design, and they sign it as many times as they score, as many clean sheets as they get, or whatever. And then at the end of the year, we just have this, 5x5 banner just full of signatures from that year's team. And it's a tradition that we started back in the beginning, and it's very special. It's honestly my favorite thing about the group, I think. And I was curious if you guys had anything either similar to that, or if your own traditions, or what kind of stuff do you guys do?
Yeah, we do. We do have a few traditions that I'll speak to. The first and foremost is, we've got a band up here local to the state of Maine, and they were at least regionally famous. And I guess it depends on where you are in the country. Maybe you'll recall the name of the band, but they've got a song. It is about the Revolutionary War and the and basically it's all about the a regiment of the state of Maine that went down and fought, and they were basically running out of ammunition, and they had to make a pretty gutsy charge, and they had to make a bayonet charge is what they had to do. It was pretty desperate times, and they went down and held off the Confederates, and with that bayonet charge, and then the North went on to win the Civil War. So it's Civil War, and so there's a ballad called "The 20th of Maine," and that is sung, and that is some 4.5 minutes long. and
Wow.
and we sing every single word of it. When we first started out, they abbreviated it, and the Dirigo Union supporters group said, "Don't abbreviate it. Play the whole thing." They're like, "That's like 4 minutes long." They're like, "Play the whole thing." And the scarfs go up when the Ballad of the 20th Maine is played, and that is certainly a tradition that is special for the region and for the Hearts. And then, of course, when we have our man of the match buoys, that is something that came in. I think that is the brainchild of Mitchell Ketchum, the co-chair of the Dirigo Union. That is, we got some wooden buoys. Of course, the fishermen and the lobstermen here in the state of Maine, buoys marking where their traps are. They bring up the buoys, attach the lines, bring up the traps, service the traps, and put them back in, so on and so forth. So very much a symbol of the state of Maine. And we have those wooden buoys that are handcrafted up in Friendship, Maine. You can't make this stuff up. These people are from Friendship, Maine, and and they make these wooden buoys, and they paint them up, and they stripe them up. Last year, the original was, of course, in the dark blue and the dark green, and this year, where we've got our Waldo kits, they got the red and the white stripes on them this year, and
those are slick, by the way.
Yeah, and it's marked up, man of the match. It's got the date on it, and it's the Dirigo Union man of the match. And we have a Discord server that about the hour mark is typically when the names will start going up in the man of the match channel in the Discord. And the Dirigo Union paying members, will get to vote on the man of the match, and then and then at the end of the match, that Dirigo Union man of the match wooden buoy is hand delivered by a Dirigo Union member. And maybe they've got a partner with them, and they go down there and they hand that wooden buoy. Of course, this has all been worked with the Hearts of Pine, and this is something we want to do. And conversations between the co-chairs and the Hearts are saying, this is an idea we want to do. Can we get permission? Yada yada yada. Granted, thumbs up. You're good to go. So they will come down onto pitch side, and they will hand deliver the wooden buoy to the man of the match, and they'll have a little bit of a photo op there, and it's some keepsake for him to have. And then basically I believe, if I recall this correctly, the people that were actually selected to hand off the man of the match will select next week's or next home matches man of the match, the lucky individuals that get to hand that one off.
That's awesome.
How big are these buoys? I'm thinking like.
So the buoys, here I am doing the old Maine measurement thing here. So we're probably talking about, I say about 18 inches or so, somewhere in that neighborhood. And that is from the stem to stem. And of course, you got the main sphere of the buoy in the middle, and there is rope that is hooked to the top of it. And if you go and you check out the Friggin Soccer Show YouTube channel, there is post-match interviews by myself that is on there. And I think it was in the first home match, the Dirigo Union man of the match went to Michel Poon-Angeron, our midfielder. He wears number 8, and he actually had it in his coat pocket. Of course, he's a big, bulky coach with large pockets, so take that in mind. But he had it in his pocket, and of course, I addressed him as Dirigo Union man of the match winner. And I go, I do believe you're a man of the match. When he goes, oh, he's playing it up. Oh, is that what this is? And he pulls it out and he shows it to everybody. So
That's
if you
awesome.
really want to take a good look at what we're talking about, you're sitting there scratching your head trying to picture this thing. Go ahead and go to the Friggin Soccer Show YouTube channel and take a look at this Michelle Poon-Andreon interview post-match, and you'll see exactly what we're talking about.
That's awesome. We've got these 2-inch coins that we do. You know, man of the match on one side and then our podcast logo on the other side of it, and working out how we're going to do that since we haven't had a home game yet. We're working out how to make some of this stuff happen, but I love the idea of voting during the match and then presenting it right there on site. So definitely love that idea.
I'm just imagining though, you know, you get, I don't know, say 3, 4, 5 man of the matches. No, yours is just, you can hold them all in your hand.
Yep.
You get 4 or 5 man of the matches in Portland.
Whoa, there goes a cat.
So sorry.
That was like Super Cat. Like he just came up out of nowhere and landed on your shoulder like a bird perching right there.
Yep.
People would be playing that black in like slow motion, like watch this.
Love it. I love it.
Well,
hey, we're getting late on time here. I want to transition a little bit to talk about on-field play. Because one of the things we like to do on this show is introduce our community, our supporters, our fans to the players that they're going to be seeing on the field. And so I don't know how many people have gone out and watched any Portland Hearts of Pine matches. I've seen clips here and there, watched part of your match this last week in the USL Cup. And so I'm somewhat familiar, but not super familiar. So talk us through formation. You kind of talked about style of play a little bit, ball in the midfield, go tackle, go forward quickly, but formation you guys play, and maybe a couple players that we need to keep our eyes on when they're playing here on the brand new turf in Ruoff Mortgage Stadium.
Yeah, so you know, if you've been watching, I love that name. I hope that sticks for you guys. The Roo.
Yep.
I like love that.
A little nice little recipe. Put in some spices. It's the Roo. I like it. But anyways, so if you're watching the Hearts this year, you know, if you've been around soccer for anything more than 2 or 3 weeks, you probably heard the phrase, you got to learn how to suffer. You got to learn how to suffer together, right? Unfortunately, this has been a routine thing for the Hearts in the front part of year one, which you could probably understand. Year one, brand new team, brand new players. They can learn how to play with each other. This might not be pretty on the front end of things, but you know what? Let's get through it. So we go into year two, and we're like, okay, all right, we got a core. We got core players here. We got 12 or 14 core players. We're going to bring some people in. Core players are going to get the other guys up to speed. There'll be maybe a few speed bumps here and there, but it'll be nothing like year one. Well, how about 2 preseason matches ended up getting canceled due to the weather down in Bermuda? And how about I don't know, you're struggling to get 16 people to practice because we are so injury riddled in the first month and a half. That's what the Hearts have been dealing with here on the front end of things. So I say all this to say, maybe you're not seeing true Hearts of Pine football in these first 3 or 4 matches of the USL League One season. So what it is supposed to look like, I would probably tell you to go back about mid-season, 2025, maybe about July, August, pick a game and turn it on. And that's probably what Hearts of Pine is supposed to look like. And hopefully the rainy days of April and the suffering is probably going to be behind us when we play the Cosmos this weekend. And then when we come to see you guys, we'll be hopefully in a better stride, hopefully for the Hearts. But I think what you're going to see, 4-2-3-1 is our basic formation for the Hearts of Pine. That's where you're going to see us in the middle of the park. That's going to be our formation. When we get pushed back into our own defensive third, it's going to look more like a 4-4-2. Head coach Bobby Murphy has been playing with a 4-4-2 a little bit more this year. I think it's probably because on our roster, we've got a few more strikers than we did last year, and some young strikers. And we also have We also have an old hat that has put the ball in the back of the net more than any other human being in USL League One, and that's Emiliano Terzaghi. We picked him up from Richmond Kickers. He served some 6 or 7 years down for Richmond Kickers, and he's like 3-time Golden Boot winner, 3-time MVP. He's got anything you can possibly think of when it comes to personal awards here in USL League One. The one thing that he does not have is he does not have a USL League One championship. And he was seeing how the Hearts were kind of put together last year and making a semifinal and coming a penalty kick away from going to a final in their very first season in the league. And he wanted to come up here and see if he can notch that last bit of hardware in his career up here with the Hearts of Pine. So formation-wise, 4-2-3-1. We talked about the aggressive style, turning the ball over in the middle of the field, getting vertical as quickly as possible. In a perfect world, from the time of possession to the time of a goal, if it's about 5 passes or under, that's the perfect Bobby Murphy scenario for how the Hearts like to attack. So they want to get vertical, they want to get vertical quick, and they want to put the ball on net.
Wow. Okay. So, Fort Wayne made an adjustment, had been playing in a 3-back, 5-back system, whatever you want to call that, with wing backs. Went to Chattanooga, who is known to be a sit back and counter team. And Fort Wayne shifted to a 4-back system and just bunkered and just said, take the ball. We'll let you have the ball and see what you do with it. And we'll counter you. Right. And ended up getting that first win. That first goal came 43 seconds into the match, and then they just kind of sat back and just gave it to Chattanooga. How are you going to do it, right? And so I think Fort Wayne is still in year 1, and Christina, maybe you can speak to this too from your perspective. Seems to be trying to find their identity on the field. We've seen a couple different formations. Seems like maybe they're settling into this 4-3-3 or 4-2-1-3 that Coach Avery has been playing the last several seasons in USL League 2. Maybe they got the personnel here working with that. And so I expect that's what we'll see in this match against Portland. And I like having that extra back there, especially, a team that likes to win the ball in the midfield and counter quickly, to have 4 back there instead of 3. Trying to cover all that space. So we'll see how that plays out. Christina, any thoughts on formation or style of play that you've seen in Fort Wayne that you're excited about, or maybe that concerns you with a team like Portland coming in?
I think there's something to be said, especially about our first year in League One, that we obviously only have so many returning players. And although we've seen these couple of returning players, and we know how Coach Avery coaches and his style of coaching and whatnot, you brought on seemingly 90% of a brand new team. And when you really think about it in terms of actual game time, we're a handful of games in. So I think there's still a little bit of, and there's in the very beginning, we still had some visa issues too. So some guys couldn't play. So, I mean, it's not to say that not every team has that, but
that's a popular problem throughout League One is with visas.
Yeah.
That's a popular problem.
Yeah. But I think I saw a lot of really good stuff from the Lou City game that I really made me,
you guys played well with Lou City.
Yeah, we really held our own against a really good USL championship level team. And I saw some really good stuff from that made me think, okay, good. I think we're finally learning a little bit more about how this guy likes to pass, or how this guy likes to receive the ball, or who's, it's just all of those little things that you learn strictly by playing in a competitive environment. So, I mean, not a ton to say about formation, but I know from last Saturday, I'm very excited to see how things go this Saturday. And if we can keep that kind of momentum and that high level of play going moving forward.
Yeah. I'd say I was hopeful about this club, right? And even I shared Shawn, when we did a preseason kind of roundtable with other podcasters and media personnel around League One, I said I think Fort Wayne's going to have a really explosive offense this season, just based on the personnel. We haven't seen that yet, but I still stand by that, because what I saw in Naples in game 1 was a team making one-touch passes and connections that I did not expect to see till mid-season.
Yeah.
Now, that final pass, that final ball wasn't quite getting through yet, but
always the toughest thing to do, right?
It is, absolutely, which is why I didn't anticipate it in week 1. And so they're finding their rhythm a little bit. They've swapped out some personnel with Lillian Ricole's been up there. Jack Thomas has been up there. Betcher's been up there. So they've kind of rotated some pieces, and they're still finding those connections. It's that final ball that once that starts clicking, I think Fort Wayne's going to be a really tough team to play against offensively anyway, with what we have. And I'll tell you, that ball, Javi Armas, long ball to Lillian Ricole, is proving deadly. It's been the same goal both times Ricole scored. It had been that ball over the top from Javi Armas, which means he's winning the ball in the midfield, like you're saying, and going quickly, getting his head up and going quickly. So I anticipate a good battle on Wednesday when the teams play. Your team being a little bit more established, and our team still finding their identity. Obviously the game has to be played. We'll see how it plays out, but I think it's going to be a tough match, and I'm looking forward to seeing your guys out on the pitch with ours.
Yes, let me just add on, one more thing. You did ask for maybe some players to watch for some of your supporters and stuff, and certainly left that one out. I want to make sure I give you a few of that. So the Hearts last year, back when we had Nathan Messer on our side, right? Of course, he's now been bought and paid for. It is now part of Charleston Battery in USL Championship. So, good for him. That's part of the biz, as they say. And, at least the Heart's got a fee for him, and that's all well and good. But he was so integral with Ollie Wright down the left-hand side. And he put in like 6 goals last year from a left back position.
Wow.
And Ollie Wright and himself teamed up multiple times. Ollie Wright put in like 9 or 10 goals last year. Masashi Wada, which unfortunately for everybody watching soccer, is injured for the rest of the year. He's out with a broken ankle. So you will not see him, unfortunately. Probably in my opinion, the best player on the Hearts team. That's my guy, if you will, right? Is Masashi Wada. But concentrate on the left side of the formation of the Hearts of Pine. Watch number 10, Ollie Wright. He is the playmaker for the Hearts of Pine. He's the guy that is, the ball is running through. And we also have a brand new addition to the Hearts of Pine, number 99, Joshua Drack. An old dancing partner of Ollie Wright's back in his Huntsville days, down in MLS Next Pro. And watch for them to link up a lot down the left-hand side, much like Ollie Wright and Nathan Messer did on the attack. So watch number 10, watch number 99 down the left-hand side of the Hearts formation, that 4-2-3-1 formation that we talked about. Also, Jaden Jones-Riley, our right wing back, number 2. He had an ACL go on him probably about a month and a half into the 2025 season. He's just now coming back. He's had a few stints in terms of games played. 45 minutes here, 45 minutes there, 30 minutes here. If he is back and ready to go for Wednesday's matchup, and we have number 99 on the left and we have number 2 on the right, you're going to want to buckle up, guys. You got to see a lot of attacking football if we got 99 and 2 on the back line.
All right. We got to forward this on to Coach Avery. Make sure he's aware.
I'm going to say, got to take these notes.
Taking notes.
Just say, make sure we got the right side secured.
Yeah. No, but I like that. I like that style of football. Just an attacking style where you know your identity. And even if a team knows your identity, that we're better than you. Right. We're going to, what we do, and we're going to come at you with it and beat you with it, even though you know the style. And so I love that grit that you talked about in the club and the team and the supporters we'll see on the field. Fort Wayne, I think, will develop that, and I think they're getting a lot of opportunities to develop that grit, starting with 5 matches now on the road, and only coming back with 1 win. I think they're learning to lose as a team, but I think it's developed a lot of team chemistry and grit to say we want to win now in front of our home fans in these next couple of matches. And so I know we're recording this. We haven't played Charlotte yet. Charlotte Independence is coming to town on Saturday, so that'll be our first home match. Portland Hearts of Pine on Wednesday will be our second match. So this will air early next week for fans to see and hear. Shawn, just really appreciate your time coming on the show and letting us know what's going on up there in Portland. My last question is, and maybe Christina's wondering this too. You had Landon Donovan, part of your Waldo kit reveal. A, how did that happen? And B, how do we leverage DeMarcus Beasley here in Fort Wayne to get Landon Donovan next year, the 2 of them on a kit reveal for our second season?
Yeah, we are one. I'm gonna put my palms to the sky and say we are 100% spoiled up here in Portland, Maine. We've got the likes of Landon Donovan for helping present a kit for our USL League One side up here. I'll tell you, my gut feel, my hunch, right, is maybe we reached out to Landon. Maybe that's what happened. But boy, I couldn't help but recognize that Landon Donovan was out there walking around the pitch on AC Boise. So maybe an inside job. Huh? Come on over, and like the phone calls I was talking about from AC Boise, maybe they sent their boy Landon over there and said, "Hey, why don't you show off that kit for those guys? And while you're there, ask a few questions and make sure you're looking around and report back to us, would you?"
Yeah.
Take pictures of everything, scanning documents.
Nice.
But on just real quick, on the women's side of things, we've got Michelle Akers and like 3 other U.S. women's national team players that are talking about the women's team that's getting ready to go ahead and get kick-started. So spoiled. I recognize we're spoiled, but I certainly do appreciate it.
Yeah. Spoiled, but also hard workers that get the community, and you've got a lot of community support rallied around the club, the team, the game, the sport up there. So something I know here in Fort Wayne admire and look to and say, we want to be that. We want to be the supporter group that has 1,000 people that just show up every game. We want to be the fans that are the loudest in the league. We want to be the club that has the best product on the field that we, home or away, get to go watch and support. So we've got high hopes. We got big dreams. I know our club does. I know the Three Rivers Regiment does. I know we do. And the way the community's coming together to build this, I'm really excited about. And again, you guys give us something to look for, a model to see what it could be. And so we really appreciate that. And we appreciate your time. Christina, any final thoughts before we head out of here?
Honestly, thank you so much for taking the time to talk and give us a little download on Hearts of Pine. I think what you guys are doing out there is absolutely incredible. It's clearly wildly successful. So I tip my hat to you guys and wish you all the very, very best success, except for when you play us. So
there it is. There
right
it is.
On.
And like I said, anything that you guys need, any questions you may have of, hey, we're running into this. How'd you guys do this? Give us a call. We're an open book. Yeah. We certainly want everyone in USL League One to be successful, because when we're all successful, the whole league gets raised together. Supporters groups get raised together, and we all get to have that much more fun together.